Hi, Mario Menjivar here, and welcome to the magic of animation. Okay, now that we've done the bouncing ball and the pendulum, in order to learn your spacing and timing, we're going to be putting them together and create a walk. And so let's have fun and let's see what we can come up with and do a walk cycle. Now, the first thing that I'll do, basically, again, like always, is to do a key pose. I'll draw the person's head, the body. So this pose basically is when both legs are basically separated from each other, where they're both making contact, because this is your contact pose right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the other key drawing, and what's going to happen is that we're going to do the opposite. So it's going to be the same pose, just the legs and the arms are going to be on the opposite. So let me first go to the first drawing here just to indicate certain parts that I can follow. And again, keep it rough. Don't worry. Don't worry about the drawing. Just keep it nice and loose. Again, this is just so that way anyone can just take this app and just have fun with it. Now we go to the last key basically, and we're going to do the opposite. Again, we're just going to trace that head. We're going to do the body. Now, this time, this arm right here is going to be moving in this direction. And so this leg here in the front is going to be back here. Now, in order so that we won't be getting confused, we're going to add probably some color to it, help out. So for the back legs, we'll kind of like put some green on it. So that way we won't get confused. So we know the leg and arm are on the other side, and the same thing here. So you can see that you're switching back and forth. Now we're going to do an in-between pose, which is basically a drawing that's going to be right in the middle. Now this drawing that's in the middle is going to be a passing pose, which means is that you have to make sure that you're aware of basically where this leg is. This is the front leg. So the front leg is actually going to slide over, up a little more. And then this leg, the passing pose is going to happen is that the leg is going to be bending. The leg that's the green leg is going to be bending, which is passing this leg. Now the same thing is going to be happening with the arm, but the arms are going to be in the middle of the body. Kind of like the pendulum, where when the pendulum was passing, back and forth, the bottom part is what goes fast, and the bottom part of the leg is what's going to slow down when it comes to the passing pose. I'm going to do the same thing. Make that green. So now we have these key drawings. And now what we're going to do is that we're going to do a passing pose. Another passing pose, which would be the opposite. The head's going to be in the same place as the other one that was going up, and the arms are going to be basically in the middle. So that's going to help create the cycle. Now, if we play it, you'll see it's going to be pretty fast. If we slow it down, it kind of gives you an idea of where you're going to be going with these key drawings. So now we're going to go back and add some more breakdowns. So between this one and this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically make sure I only focus on these two drawings. There. So now I'm just focusing on these two drawings right here. I'm going to need basically a kind of like a push-off type of drawing. So we're going to bring the body down just a bit. So that's the squash part. And in the human body, when we walk, there's a little bit of a squash going on. So the foot's going to slide over in this direction. So I'm trying to get my knees and everything connecting really nicely for that squash. Now the hand's going to be coming up. And the arm that's in front of us is going to start coming down. Now we're going to be doing the same thing with the opposite. So we're going to be working with this one, which is the opposite, which is also going to be the squash. Again, don't worry too much about the drawing. We're going to keep it nice and loose, more like gesture drawings. That way you can only worry about right now, which is the main thing, which is just the action. In a bit, let's see what we have so far. So there we have something working really nicely. We start seeing some squash and stretch. You start seeing the spacing. You get an idea of what the timing is going to look like. And of course, what we need to do is add more in-betweens now to kind of like fix that, to make it feel a little more smoother. So I'm going to go back to it again. Go back to the first drawing. Add another in-between. So you saw what I did, kind of like I got a little bit of confusion there with the arm, which is something you have to be really careful. So you have to follow that arm very well, and that's his left arm. So his left arm actually is coming down in this direction as his shoulders start to relax. Let's see what we have. So again, now you start feeling some weight. Now you start feeling that this person actually, I mean, is actually moving. What we're doing is that we're just worrying about the movement, not worrying about too much about the drawing. That comes later on. Right now, you just want to focus on how it's moving, and is there weight? Is there weight shifting in certain parts of the body? And if that is working, then you're basically halfway there. All you have to do is just go back and tie it down and do some nice little drawings, and it will give it a nice professional feel to it. So let's see, let's go back. In fact, let's just look at that again, and let's see what else we might need. So what's great about it is that we can scroll and see where we're going to need certain things. Like right here, basically, we need to push off. So we're going to need an in-between from here to here, so that way it won't pop too much. So let's go back to that and add that in there. And if we add this drawing in there, it should smooth things out just a bit more. Again, I'm going to use my arcs, so I have to make sure my arcs are working really well. I'm going to go back to this one too and make that work also. Move this one here for now. And do the same thing. We're just going to be doing the opposite. So again, as you see, I keep going back and forth, and you have to do that because you have to make sure you understand where the shapes are going. Sometimes they can confuse you just a bit, but you have to take your time and not panic in a way. Just take your time and look at those shapes, see what they're doing, and just make sure that they're in between properly, so that way the animation won't look too funny, or you might realize that you skipped something by just rushing through the whole thing. All right, so let's see what we have now that we had these. So that's much better. So again, just using the bouncing ball and the pendulum. You see the pendulum with the arms, you see how they wave. That's basically the pendulum right there. And when you see his legs, the way they're moving, is actually the bouncing ball, where once he picks his legs up and he goes through the passing pose, you see it slow down a bit and then it drops really fast. So that's how you do a walk. Have fun. Enjoy it. Here's an art tip. Learn anatomy. Anatomy is an important thing to know, especially if you want to be a good animator. It helps you understand how the bone structure is done and how the muscles are done. So if you understand your anatomy, you'll be able to understand movement and how the human body works. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about anticipation. Anticipation is the preparation of the main action. So in other words, when you're going to have a big animated action happening, you want to anticipate it. You want to kind of prepare the audience for it. You don't want to surprise them. So in this case, I already did a drawing of the main action. And in this main action is someone actually punching. So we're going to do the anticipation. How do we get to this action? And the way we get to it is by just basically we're going to be adding another drawing to it, which will be the beginning part. So we're going to have the person just standing. Again, don't worry too much about the drawing, just draw it very rough. You just want to get the animation working right now, which is the important thing. So he's standing first. We start the scene this way. He sees something and he reacts to it. Now he's going to throw the punch. So we're going to create a new drawing, which will be the anticipation part. We're going to bring his arms up, preparing for that punch. So this is my anticipation pose. Now I'm going to move my first drawing to the front, and my anticipation, I'm going to put it in the middle. So let's look at them and let's slow it down. So you can see the action. So you see him standing, the anticipation to throw that punch, and you see how it's just setting up the action right now. And that's what you want. You want to set up the action. You don't really want to go from this pose and then go to this one like that. There's not a lot going on if you go from here to there. But if you add just that one gesture, that anticipation, pushing that pose really nicely, that punch feels much more powerful. So let's break it down and see what we can come up with. we're going to be adding some more drawings between the first one and that anticipation. How are we going to get them up there? So now we're going to break it down some more from that first breakdown we just did to the anticipation part. Bringing his hands up a little more. So now we're going to be slowing into this pose, to that main pose, that anticipation, just like the pendulum. Remember when we were doing the pendulum, everything slows in? So we're going to be slowing in, just like the pendulum. So the drawings they're going to start getting a little tighter. So let's see what we have so far. You see how he slows into that anticipation and then he punches. I mean, we're not done. We have to do the second half, which is the punch itself. So now we have to break down those drawings. Again, the arcs are very important. So the head's going to have an arc just like this. We're going to have to act it out a little bit. So his arm's still going to be back here. Actually, there's one thing I want to do, which is very important. When he anticipates with the main action. So that's the thing. Sometimes you're going to be noticing things that you want to change. I think I'm going to have his leg come up a bit, just to push that anticipation just a little more. So by actually lifting that leg up, I'm going to have to kind of start over again with this drawing because now everything is going to change. Now the anticipation with the leg going up is going to create a different movement. I'm going to want that leg to come down first. And he's going to stay back just a bit more. The leg's going to come down exactly where that other leg is positioned, where he's actually doing the punch. And let's see what we have here. Feels a little better. Now we have to break it down some more so it can make some sense. Actually, let's start turning him just a bit. So with that breakdown, we have an idea of where we're going. So now we have to break it down just a few more times. We're going to start seeing the top of his body. So as you see, I'm doing it really rough, just trying to figure out the drawing, which is why it's so important to draw it rough. If you get into it trying to do a nice, neat drawing, you're going to get in trouble. You're never going to be able to finish your animation. Break it down some more. And again, if you notice, I'm erasing a lot, and that's because I'm just searching for that pose. I'm searching for that right drawing. I'm searching for that right silhouette that's going to make sense. And it's just a process that you have to go through. And I mean, I feel that's the fun part, because you're trying to figure out what's going on. And at the same time, you're learning too. The beauty about animation is that every scene you do and every action you do it's always going to be different depending on the kind of character you're animating. You're always going to be learning new things from it. Since everyone is different, they're going to act differently. I feel that at this moment, that body should be twisting a little more. And now we're going to slow him in. All right, let's see what we have. So then you can start feeling that punch a little more. I feel like it needs maybe one more breakdown drawing. So let me just check and see where I may need that. And it'll be right here between these two drawings, because the space is just too far apart. So let's just add a drawing there. I'm going to keep his arm back there so he can drag a bit. Let's see how that looks. That's feeling much, much better. So let's hold this just for a few frames. And the last one, let's hold it for, let's say, 3 frames. And there you have anticipation working really nicely with that punch. So it's helping that action to get that point across really, really well. So that's how you do anticipation. So give it a shot, have fun, and go for it. And we'll see you next time. I remember one time in the Florida studio, I was just doing my work, minding my own business, you know, drawing on my table, and then I heard this booming voice. And I said to myself, oh my God, it's Darth Vader. And I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So I ran to the front of the studio, and there was James Earl Jones talking to one of our presidents. And I just went up to him. I knew this was the only chance I'll probably ever get to speak to someone who I looked up to and admired so much. And I said, Mr. Jones, my name is Menjivar. And he shook my hand. And I'll never forget. I didn't know he was so big. He was tall. And when he shook my hand, my whole hand disappeared. And that I'll never forget, because the impact he had in me as a kid when I saw Star Wars for the first time and heard that booming voice coming out of Darth Vader. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and I'll see you next time on The Magic of Animation.